The Blackberry. When it comes to companies, it's mainly known for two things, its keyboard phones and a fairly quick fall from grace. But instead of this being a how did Blackberry fail type of video, I'm instead going to talk about a device that I think if released just a few years earlier, could have saved the company. And however unlikely, if this device came out as BlackBerry's answer to the iPhone, maybe we'd have three giants in the market instead of just two. This device is the BlackBerry Torch 9860. BlackBerry's true competitor to the iPhone, circa 2008, was the BlackBerry Storm. The Storm was a device that BlackBerry hoped they could transfer their well-known click-like feeling of a keyboard over to a full touch-based device. And although rumors that return rates of this device were at 100% were false, the true return rate of the Storm is still quite high, at around 10 to 50%. And for a device being touted as your iPhone killer, that's real bad. Basically, the device was just unreliable. The device had buttons under the screen to mimic the feeling of a button press, but as you're seeing here, it just felt cheap. You can even see the entire screen tilt and rock and just shift a little bit while you're using it. BlackBerry would try to hit back the following year with the Storm 2, and although it was a much better phone, completely getting rid of that weird rocking screen and replacing it with piezoelectric sensors to simulate a button press, similar to like a modern MacBook trackpad kinda, it still fell flat. And that's why I'm going to now move on to the Torch 9860 and similar Torch devices. I think they should have actually released this line of phones first, and they would have done drastically better. So sit back, and I hope you guys enjoy. The Torch 9960 was a device launched by BlackBerry around August of 2011, it being a BlackBerry OS 7 device. It also launched with other OS 7 devices, like the Torch 9910 and Bold 9900, and looking back at people that were holding on to the sinking ship, seem to still have fairly fond memories of this era, compared to the earlier mess that was the OS that ran on the Storm. OS 7 just simply felt more smooth. It was a great up over earlier devices. It also helped largely that you didn't need to press down the whole screen that mimicked a button. The OS line of devices were simple, normal touchscreens. The Bold 9900 being a touchscreen device that retained the classic look, the Torch 9910 being a hybrid-like device that had a slider mechanism. It was the best of both worlds. And what we're looking at today, the Torch 9860, which was BlackBerry's simple, normal touchscreen. No keyboard, just on-screen. Now when it comes to the all-touchscreen Torch, a lot of people are probably going to scoff at me saying, it's a BlackBerry, you need to have a keyboard. And yes, that's why you give people choice. You have the Bold line of phones in the Curve. Those have the keyboard. You can still make those. But a lot of this is hindsight, yes. But if they were somewhat smarter, I feel like they could think to themselves that, wow, this screen that wiggles when you barely touch it, this feels cheap. This doesn't feel good. And if instead consumers saw a beautiful device like the Torch 9860 alongside devices like the iPhone 3GS and just even the original iPhone, it feels very nice. It's a very well built phone. And I know in an alternate timeline, if this was first in 2008, it wouldn't look exactly like the 9860, but a similar device could have possibly saved them. People would have gotten on board. They wouldn't have had massive recalls. Maybe the App Store of the BlackBerry world would have taken off. And that is where the importance is. App support. App support was massive on iPhone. Android shifted gears, like they had this thing. They had this thing as a competitor. The iPhone was announced, and then they were like, nope, we're gonna do this instead. And then eventually they did the Android market. Apps were important. And on a very nice sleek device like this, if people saw it was doing okay, no recalls, and they did the BlackBerry world, it would have been awesome. And if they wanted a keyboard on top of that, maybe business people, then once again, you'd have the Bold. Now, yeah, hindsight. This is a beautiful idea, but that's hindsight. And instead it's just a shame that they did the Storm. And then the Storm 2. Storm 2 is better, but I think they were slowly digging their grave. By the time these OS 7 devices came out, People liked them, but that was a lot of time. That was 2007 all the way to 2011, and tech moves fast in that time, and a lot of people sadly just moved on to either iOS, or they got an Android device, or God forbid they got a Windows phone, which was also very sleek at the time. So, in an alternate timeline, a magical torch-like device comes out. Maybe it saves Blackberry. Who knows? Now this was a different type of video than I normally do, but I hope you've enjoyed. And if you're interested to see what this torch can still do in 2025, you can check out my 2024 Blackberry video because, although it's a year old, all the apps in that video still do work. And I know nobody's going to really daily drive one of these in 2025, but the video is just for fun, and it can still do some fun things like Discord chatting decently well, YouTube playback also works decently well, and maybe, just barely, some web browsing will also work. But yeah, the torch and similar devices, I hope you've enjoyed this alternate timeline type of video. And of course, in the end, even if they did release this device back in 2008 as the competitor, nobody can truly say if it would have taken off and saved BlackBerry's mobile division because nobody has a time machine. But it's always fun to look back and take guesses. Once again, if you want to check out what this thing can still do, check above or below in the comments, and I won't keep you here any longer. I hope you've enjoyed and made it this far, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.